We got tight end moves on tight end moves. Jonnu Smith to the Steelers, and now Darren Waller to the Dolphins. Nez and I are going to break it down, and then we will hop in a draft, maybe a single entry bullet, maybe a pit bull. Only time will tell. I'm Pete with Nez. This is Off and On the Clock. Let's do it. So I couldn't help but notice, Nez, we have John out because of a Canadian holiday, but Jacob Sanderson, a fellow Canadian, he showed up to work at ADP chasing this morning. What gives there?
I don't know. It really makes you wonder, like, how much is his heart in this with us? But he's not going to pass up an opportunity to go outside and day drink with his fellow Canadians. He was telling me all about it. John's never passing up that opportunity. And I think he was also tired of me talking about why I think Jonnu Smith is still a good pick with at least with the Steelers. So he's just probably trying to get away from me.
That's right. Yeah, so we will wish John a final Canadian Independence Day. Really does feel like they're just making shit up there, though, so that they don't have to be online with the rest of us. What are your American 4th of July plans here?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna obviously, just kind of keep it low key, hang by the house. So I was my grill is out of commission right now.
Really?
Which is dude.
What happened?
I mean, so I've had the grill for probably like 4 months now, and I never did a deep cleaning of it, and I cook a lot of chicken thighs on there with the skin on. A lot of grease building up there, and I waited too long to not clean the grill. And I was cleaning the grill, flipped the chicken skin side down, and then essentially a grease fire starts in the grill.
Oh no!
So I take the chicken off, turn off the propane, close the lid, and the fire is bellowing.
Really?
It is strong. There's a lot of black smoke, and we called 911. Had to call 911 again to tell them not to come because the fire ends up going out. It was humiliating. It was embarrassing. And so I need to do a thorough cleaning of the grill. I haven't done it yet. I've just kind of been tail between my legs, sad that this happened. So I need to clean the grill out for the 4th. So on the inside, it's super black, but it does I took a thumb to it and it does wipe off. So I just need to give this thing a thorough deep cleaning, do it a little bit more, clean a little bit more often, and get back to it because you gotta have a grill on 4th. But yeah, I hadn't shared that story yet. That was so embarrassing.
It's funny you say that because I literally on Sunday, this is our last weekend where we're just around at the house and don't have plans. I'm booked up through mid-August. And so I was I've been meaning to clean my grill. So I was soaking my grates and doing all that. And I power washed my deck and patio because it was just coated with pollen. But I'm like you, I generally wait way too long to clean my the interior of the grill. I flipped the briquettes and I finally got around to doing all that, but I'm having to watch YouTube videos to remember all the various things I need to do. But yes, the maintenance with the home ownership, it catches up to you.
Oh yeah, big time. I also want to, can you pull up that godlike comment? Is he talking about pouring water on a grease fire? Is that what he's telling me? Is that what he's saying? Ever heard of a cup of water, Nez? But maybe that's the worst thing you could possibly do in that situation is throw you don't put water on a grease fire. I mean, maybe it would work, but I don't think that's the
we got an actual firefighter here in the chat, Nez. I'm pretty sure he solved it here. A sick way to make more fire. Well, glad you're safe and that you'll be back in commission soon enough.
Yeah. At least I can still drink beer. The fridge is still in commission, so there's that. But yeah, that was incredibly embarrassing. But yeah, we're just gonna hang out. My birthday is this weekend, but we're gonna do some things for
nice. Instead. Happy birthday! What are you gonna go out to dinner?
Yeah, I go out to dinner. We're looking at maybe going to see a comedy show a few weeks after it occurs. But yeah, just me, the wife and the kid, and just. Nice. I don't need any big celebrations. Who does at this age?
Yeah, I just emerged from our 10 days because both Lauren and I's birthdays overlap. So we had multiple date nights. We went to a Red Sox game on Friday together. And yeah, it's fun to enjoy the summer and have some special occasions. The summer birthdays are the best.
They are. Yeah, I'm very fortunate for that.
All right, let's talk a little bit. I guess I hadn't heard your take yet, and obviously we need the Steelers whisperer takes on it. Jonnu Smith to your beloved Steelers. Arthur Smith gets his guy. What's going on with the Steelers? Because there's also rumors that Watt might not be long for the team.
Yeah, no, they are definitely, Tomlin keeps saying that he's confident they will come to an agreement, but I think they clearly are not trying to make him the highest paid defensive end. And I think that's what he wants. And maybe, if you look at the raw numbers, it's what he deserves, but the direction that the team is going in, I've been team don't pay Watt for quite a while. Hell, maybe even trade him if somebody wants to give you a ton of water or a ton of for him. I got grease fires on the mind.
Right.
So yeah, they're just in a really weird spot. I don't think they're going to pay Watt, and he may end up saying trade me to a team that wants to pay me. So that situation, I just think is I don't think that they want to pay him because I just think it makes sense for them not to. But offensively, I think this Jonnu trade was okay, I don't think that we can get Keenan Allen to Pittsburgh. That's a little worrisome. It does seem like his comments about wanting to stay put or stay close to home are ringing true here because I don't think they can get Keenan Allen. This is them trying to find the easiest way to add offense to the team. This is one way Arthur Smith knows how to add offense to the team is use Jonnu Smith because that's what he's done so far. That's what he's done so much. Dating back to obviously the Falcons' tenure with him. And for me, man, I think that it's I think this is Freiermuth to zero. I've never been that big of a Freiermuth bull. I don't know. And obviously it's since Jonnu close to zero, but I don't think that I think Jonnu's clearly the tight end one here in Pittsburgh. It's I'm not going to pretend it isn't a shit show. It's a total shit show right now, but it makes the Steelers better though at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that would be a pretty wild take to say the football Steelers, the wins and losses, that they're not a better team. Yeah, it's just it's such a bummer for fantasy because it's even the Jonnu Smith click doesn't feel good. Obviously, the Freiermuth click doesn't feel good at all. You're basically when you click it, you're kind of hoping one of them gets injured, and then it's just a clear, value there. And in some of the splits too of I think Daigle had the tweet of how Arthur Smith has actually used Jonnu, and it was really Mike McDaniel who was really excited to use him in a more expanded role. So wondering how much of Miami Jonnu we actually get with the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, much different offensive minds between McDaniels and Sir Arthur Smith there. But yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, of course, kind of glossed over the Minka transaction of this deal as well, which again, I didn't think Minka was anything special. Now, does Jalen Ramsey in this current iteration of himself a good player? I hope so. It seems like the Steelers still think so as well. But yeah, it's just a very strange move, exciting move, but strange, and also like you said, sad for fantasy. I wonder if this will, the sinking effect of Jonnu, as far as best ball goes, raising tight end prices around him, because that's one less somewhat premium tight end that people were taking. Does that raise up some of these? Because I got some big time late round tight ends that I love, and I wonder if we're going to see them as staples of the 16th round as opposed to 17th, 18th, specifically, a Theo Johnson or JT Sanders, guys like this, or do they become a little more appealing as we lose one good tight end off the board? Who knows?
Yeah, I think you definitely could. I mean, I did a Pitbull draft right before the Swolecast, and I had a late round tight end build going, and I was this feels more thinned out back here than it did before. I think that range where Jonnu was going, I mean, he had already started to slide, so he was kind of separating from Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce and Evan Ingram in there. But yeah, I definitely feel it with the Freiermuth. I guess it also depends. What is the market going to do with Darren Waller? Because it seems like there's people on all sides of it. And Darren Waller too, we do have the precedent. we all have very fond memories of when Darren Waller initially broke out and was like this revelation on the Raiders, so much so that everyone chased it up the board that year with the Giants. And now he's even more removed from relevancy, more removed from playing football. But, I was listening to the guys on ADP chasing talk about it. I'm like, man, like, are we going to slot him in like around Zach Ertz? Because like, to me, there's a very big gap between Zach Ertz and Darren Waller in my mind right now. So does he backfill that Freiermuth spot or how does that work?
Honestly, like, I'm just going to probably pretend that Darren Waller doesn't exist. I think it's helpful that like the last memory we have of Darren Waller, two last memories of him are, one, obviously, the millionth and one person to make the rap career joke. He's a rapper.
Yeah.
Awful. And two, wasn't a very good football player too. So like, that's like if we were like, oh, prime Darren Waller, he rode off into the sunset and now he's back, a la like Gronk, I think I would probably get tricked. But like the fact that what I can remember, the last bit of Darren Waller was like a wasted best ball pick because he didn't even play. And when he did play, he wasn't even very good. So I don't think I'm going to have like any Darren Waller. This to me doesn't really, this screams like red alert desperation mode in Miami to me. I don't know. I have big time, like, what the hell's going on in Miami? Is this a team that's waving the white flag by week 14 vibes?
Yeah. I think too, like, also, if we can put on like a little like ball knower type stuff. I mean, like who Jonnu and Darren Waller are as players is so different. Like Jonnu, even since coming into the league, was like he kind of had that gadget element to them. They'd line him up in the backfield, like they'd give him some carries. He was used really close to the line of scrimmage. He was like big physical. Like Darren Waller has always been this like jacked up wide receiver, essentially beating people outside. And then when he lost that speed and all of that, then he wasn't relevant for fantasy. So like to me, what you're hoping for is nowhere anything resembling what Jonnu was able to do for that offense. Like they're not going to be scheming up Darren Waller like 2-yard screens like they were Jonnu. They're not going to be screening or setting up screen passes to him like they were with Jonnu. So I think you have to have way tampered like expectations relative to what we saw from Jonnu last year, even if you're a Darren Waller bull.
Yeah, like you said, they're just so like vastly different. I get in 2023, right? I'm looking at some of the game logs now. The 3 games of greater than 70 yards. This was 2023. A few, quite a few games of over 40 yards. It looks like 4 games over 40 yards. I still I'm gonna like try to hold steadfast and not get tricked, unless he's just like an 18th round pick. But if I know underdog drafters, like I think I do, he's gonna probably find himself around the 180s. If he's past the 180s, I mean, God help us all. But
yeah,
I would say around 180.
It's also, I mean, we did this thing a couple of years ago too, right? When the Dolphins didn't have a tight end and we started getting intrigued by Durham Smythe, right? Where it was like, it's got to be someone. And it's like, well, sometimes it doesn't. And if there's any coach that you trust to maximize his personnel, not try to stick, square pegs in round holes, it's like Mike McDaniel. Like if he needs to just build the entire offense out of Achane, Waddle, and Tyreek, I'm pretty sure he'll do that. So I wouldn't make any assumptions about like, whoever is the tight end one there is going to have a role. So I don't know. I'm going to proceed with a ton of caution.
Is there anything that could make you like, and maybe you are already open to drafting Darren Waller? Is there anything that could make you more it like into Darren Waller more than you are right now? If that interest level is anything other than 0.
I guess outside of an injury, to one of the other guys where it's like, holy shit, they just need another pass catcher. It's probably just really strong training camp buzz. I mean, I'm going to need to see multiple best shape of his life. I'm going to need to see multiple. I cannot believe that this former rapper looks like this out there. Like, I'm going to need not just like a positive drumbeat. I'm going to need someone fucking banging a gong about like, Darren Waller.
From McDaniels himself, you think? Like, or would you like trust the beat if the beats are like more bullish than McDaniels?
Yeah, I'm going to need multiple sources. I'm going to need it corroborated. I'm going to need it heard on Tyreek Hill's podcast from Mike McDaniel. I mean, I need so many data points before I buy in here.
Same. It's going to take some serious, coach speak for me to get in on that. And then at that point, it's probably going to rise too much. And then I'll once again just be like, God damn, I can't take him in the 150s.
I am it literally as we're talking about this, we're doing our first season long FFPC main event draft right now, famously tight end premium. And we are on the clock as the news broke We have Bowers as our round 1. We haven't taken another tight end, and Jacob and Davis are screaming for Darren Waller for us here in like round 16. And I think I'm going to end up getting out vetoed. So big Waller, man, they're coming for us for sure.
That's got to be at least some CLV.
That's the one thing. It has to be CLV. Like he has to end up going higher in tight end premium. So I guess I can. Yeah, I'll snuggle up to my CLV at night. I mean, the other thing, because I had been taking at the end of drafts, if I had Tua and I wanted like a double and I only had like one of Waddle or Tyreek, I was taking some Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Me too.
Where I kind of like him as like the better in best ball, deep threat. He's proven that he can do that with a lesser quarterback. Last year, I guess the point for me is like, I'm not going to let this take away my sprinkle of NWI. Like, I don't know if this.
I don't think so either. No, I don't think so either. Like, I think obviously Tyreek Hill is fast, but he hasn't had like the deep ball ADOT games like in a while. That hasn't been how they've been, at least last year. That's not how they were using them. And that to me seemed like that seemed like a pretty purposeful signing, or at least I could easily pattern match as to like what element was that offense missing last year. And it was a deep threat. They couldn't do anything deep. And a lot of that was because of the offensive line play, but also like it was Waddle, Jonnu, and Tyreek. And they weren't having Tyreek run deep. So I do think that was like a purposeful element to bring in. And he's very much undrafted. Like you said, if you have a Tua team, he makes a lot of sense. So I've been sprinkling in some NWI as well.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard for me to generally find some of those 18th round wide receivers that aren't rookies, that I'm willing to do. But NWI, a little bit of MVS, like if I'm trying to do a Darnold stack, exact same thought, just like not quite as exciting of a team. And then, like a little Tyler Lockett, again, like deep threat, maybe the rookies are not good, but it's hard for me to get there generally.
Yeah. You mentioned Lockett, and I do think that that's going to be like one of the, what I'm paying attention to. I mean, I'm paying attention to a lot of things in training camp, but that's like one of the biggest things is like those Titans wide receivers with because I want to draft a lot of Cam Ward, who has the strongest drum beat there between Manor and DK. Because I mean, DK has a draft capital, but everybody likes Manor more. So it is like kind of interesting and I think important to figure out as we, get closer to September.
So we got a take from our guy, Pat Moore, Poker. Welcome back to the site, Pat. Feel like it's an upgrade for Jonnu. Definitely. I don't know if I agree with that. But this part I don't agree with. Rodgers over Tua, assuming he has a little left in the tank, and now less target competition, DK only, Tyreek Waddle. I disagree with the Rodgers over Tua stuff. And I guess this isn't exactly the point he's making because it's all Tua or Jonnu focused. But like the thing to me that's exciting about this move for the Dolphins is it signals to me that they do want to play downfield more and that they weren't happy with the dink and dunk, the lack of explosives. Like I want them throwing to Tyreek and Waddle 20 yards downfield, to NWI 30 yards downfield. I want them, doing H-hand wheel routes instead of just like dink and dunks. To me, this says they're ready to get back to that. In a way, I'm way more excited about the explosiveness of the Dolphins offense than what I think is going to be the complete opposite game plan. Like the Steelers are going to go out and win games. They're going to play good defense. They're going to run the ball well. They're not going to ask Rodgers to do a ton. That's great for the Steelers. I don't think it's going to be great for fantasy.
No, you're right. Like, so like in a vacuum, yes, less target competition. That is very true. The overall volume though, we're not playing a rate-based game. Obviously we're playing pure volume and, accumulating fantasy points there. The volume will still be worse. So that's what really matters. Cause like you said, they're going to run less plays. They're going to have better defense. They're going to have worse game scripts. So yeah, but I think that is like a pretty interesting point. If you want to read the tea leaves bullishly for the Dolphins players is like, hey, the onus is on them now. And they are likely to, even just from a volume standpoint, even if you don't necessarily buy like, oh, they're playing downfield more. I mean, like, how do you not like all those vacated targets? You can't put 100% of that on Darren Waller, obviously. So, yeah, no. That's bullish for me. But man, the fall off last year with Waddle and Tyreek, I just hope that they can bounce back. I really hope that we're like, because now everyone's talking about like the Siegel quotes on Waddle and his opinions on Jalen Waddle. And I'm like, wow, what if he just like is not as good as he was 2 years ago? What if that is the case? Then that's nightmare fuel.
For sure. Yeah, I guess the one thing, if you wanted to make like an underdog case, Johnny scored a decent amount of touchdowns, but it was more the appeal of like his target floor was so good. I think if Darren Waller hits, it's gonna be because he like just banks a lot of touchdowns, essentially, and that they go to him in the red zone. So like, could he sun run touchdowns? Sure. But I think you're also saying that about basically every late round tight end, right? Like you're saying, can Chigakonkwo catch a bunch of touchdowns? Can Jatavian Sanders catch a bunch of touchdowns? You're basically with those late guys that there's not much volume to hang your hat on. So I don't know. That's a thin case.
Yeah, I could be take locked, but I really do prefer my usual late round tight ends to Darren Waller still. Just knowing that they're going to be cheaper once the market appropriately prices Darren Waller appropriately in quotations there. I'll still probably prefer my late round tight ends that I've been taking. The last question for you on this stuff is like where would you put Darren Waller or Jonnu Smith ADP wise now? Like Pat Freiermuth is ADP 160 right now. Hunter Henry's around like the 170s. Where do you think is like an appropriate price for Jonnu if you were building it?
Yeah, let's pull it up and I'll we can see like which price or where the line would be of current tight ends where I would feel comfortable kind of pulling that up here. So like you said, currently his ADP is at 119, and we're going to see a pretty swift, I think, correction here. Let's go down here. Give me Ferguson, Pitts, Strange. I think this is going to be the range. Like I have my preferences. I do think he starts to feel like the Pitt Strange type thing. Like put him here at like 160. I could see people still preferring like a Hunter Henry, a Gesicki or Ertz, but I think a fair price to me is like 160. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think feet to fire, I'd probably take Hunter Henry over him just because I am
right.
Like I love Hunter Henry. So I think I'd probably put him as like tight end 21 and make Hunter Henry tight end 20, or maybe I guess 21, and then Freiermuth to 0.
And it's funny too, because like generally how I think about these, I guess I do a decent amount of late tight end. So I'm not like that picky with some of these profiles. Obviously like stacking is a big thing, or correlating in this range, but Hunter Henry is one like I gravitate to if I'm needing to fill out a room, even if it's uncorrelated. So I definitely like that angle, and Bretton Strange to a lesser extent, whereas like Pitts and Gesicki and Ertz, I generally want those guys kind of correlated. Like, let me just bet on the team here.
Yeah, exactly. But this is really where I live, man. I don't do a ton of like, it's either like Bowers and McBride for me, or I'm like building out like 3 guys back here and kind of really enjoying it. But I do want to congratulate you on building your first 4 tight end team. I know you've been trying for months to get somebody to agree to that, and I'm surprised it was Leone, but that was big for you.
I mean, it is a gross ass tight end room too. Yeah, if you guys,
I like how you did it though, right? You shot the moon. You didn't take another boring guy. Like you're like, what if this is the breakout? Like that's how it's done.
Yes. So it's Kyle Pitts, Bretton Strange, Dalton Schultz with Stroud, and then Aronde Gadsden. As someone pointed out in the chat, I have now drafted all 3 Chargers tight ends across various Best Ball Mania drafts.
Will Dissly, Conklin, okay, and then wow, that's a load of Gads.
Yeah, and we were going to take Arroyo, I believe, and then he went 1 pick before us. But I will say, I did a Pitbull earlier, and again, I almost got to 3. I was going to do 4 tight ends, and I got sniped on one, and like the tight ends were just so bad that I think I pivoted to another running back. But I continue to be curious, 4 tight end curious when it calls for it.
It's appropriate to keep your options open.
That's right. Let's see here. let's talk drafts. What have you been drafting lately? Like when you have free time, what contest?
So I was doing, I'm still doing like 20-second super flex whenever I have time to do a fast draft. But
Yeah.
right now I'm like very much, in slow draft grind season right now, just to get the volume in that I want to get in. So like really, man, anytime I have a moment to sit down, I'm like hammering away my slow drafts. But I'm trying to get to like 100 super flex puppies. I just really think, man, that I'm playing this different than other people are, and it's really interesting now because like all the tools that are out there now have specific updates for Superflex, which is like really kind of intriguing to compare what my strategy is to like what what Leg Up is saying, because they
Yeah.
have like specific sims for Superflex, and I don't necessarily fully align one-to-one with them, but I am trying to get some different textures based on like their recommendations. So like that's really my goal, man. Like is when I have a chance to sit down and do a fast draft is do Superflex, but I'm like entering a Pitbull slow a day just to make
Nice.
sure that I can max that contest. That's like a must max for me. And I'd also like to be a sweaty EV guy and try to have some slow drafts going after the contest is already closed.
There you go. Yeah, I'm still abstaining from slow drafts, but I have been doing pit bulls when I get a chance. I mentioned on Best Ball Breakfast, I've done a couple of eliminators because I'm deep in the lab on a video. I'm going to hopefully record that tomorrow, get it to the editor. It's probably going to take a little bit because there's like going to be like 20 to 30 minutes of strategy plus a draft as part of it. But like, I'm really excited about some of the stuff in there because we had a really fun show about the Eliminator a couple of weeks ago and we got the like juices flowing. And then Christopher Davis from the Deposit Kingdom did a bunch of sim research and he shared it with me. And we were batting ideas back and forth, testing different things, stacking, roster construction, bye weeks, all this, and came to some pretty fun conclusions for stuff. And so I'm going to put that all in a video. And then I'm going to want to, continue to draft a ton of eliminators. So that's kind of where my head has been out recently.
Yeah, I want to ask you some questions so badly, but I'm going to wait for the video to come out to see what kind of conclusions that you guys came to. Because, yeah, this is I got my own edges in the Eliminator that maybe are common sense, but maybe are not. So I'm really curious to see what kind of conclusions you come to in that.
It is by far, it's like the most. You think about all the different types of contests on Underdog, the weekly winners versus the marathon, and even last year's Eliminator structure, which had like a very, strong theme to kind of what you were trying to accomplish. Weekly winners, you're trying to accomplish like the 99.9th percentile outcome. Marathon, you're trying to, just have total points. This mashes up like everything from every contest, this Eliminator structure into one. Where it's like you care about total points, but it also has the pod luck dynamics of BBM, and it has like everything. And you need ceiling, for to be able to get through against teams that get progressively stronger throughout the contest, and it like starts to melt your brain in just like this super fun way. I think it's like by far the most exciting contest Underdog has ever dropped.
100%. I think for me, it's like a big portfolio management exercise too.
Yeah.
I think, like I would definitely like to be cognizant of like my percentages and my combinatorial ownership because, like obviously I'm trying to stay alive to, week 14, I think is what like everybody's like big, get home week is. Cause I think that's that'd be the most money I've ever won in best ball, which isn't really saying much, but yeah.
And most people know this too, but yeah, that's the other fun thing about this is so like last year, and I have this little thing here because I was just trying to get the prizes. Last year it was like the most prizes you made before week 17 was $300. That was like the pre-finals min cash, and then it was a week 17 is all that matters contest. And this year, the sweat is like literally 2x every single week. Week 4, you go from $10. Week 5, 20. 31, 52, 102, 200, 500, 1K, 2K, 5K, 10K, 20K, 50K. Like, so just that escalating thing, like the ladder pay jump, almost as if you were in a poker tournament, like moving up, to be able to 2X that and just bank that each week, in addition to having the single head-to-head sweat, it's just so sick.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't quite realize that it was like $50K for getting to week 16. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so like who's upset if they get to week 16 and obviously you want to make it to the finals, but like, wow.
That's the thing too, to like be there. Cause you think about it, right? It's a 3-seed final. Everything's head to head. So it doubles, right? It's 6, it's 12 in week 15, 24 in week 14, 48 in week 13. So it's like, yeah, you are like, you make it that deep. I mean, you are so stoked. You already you take your chips off the table and you get the sweat of a lifetime to double what you just took off the table.
Yeah. 100%. Wow. Oh my God. This gets me excited for the Eliminator all over again.
So yeah, I'm gonna have a whole video out. And I have some some actionable takeaways and like the funnest strategic nugget. I'll say this. I'm generally an open book. I wanted to keep this one to myself. And it is going to be in the video. So that's about as good of a tease as I can do here.
Cool.
All right, let's do a draft though. We both mentioned we each have our Corgis here. Why did I say it like that? Eliminator. You want to do a single entry here?
I'm down for a single entry.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see what the lobby's looking like.
You want to do kind of our usual thing? We do it on my account. You can do yours, and we can split our Corgis.
Yeah, I like that.
Only 20-second drafts here, so we don't get to do the streamer 30-second. But if you guys have not used your bullets here, we're ready to rock. And it looks like some of you guys had saved it because we are ripping.
That's awesome. Yeah, I keep saying it. This is like an absolute must enter contest. I got my I had my cousin, my wife's cousin's husband. Her and her husband were over with their kid, and he was, he's always like curious about like my Underdog streaming stuff, and he's a big Ravens fan, football fan, and he's like, I forgot about the Underdog. So he deposited and enter a Corgi while he was like in my kitchen, and he's like, I think I'm gonna take Derrick Henry, pick 8, and I was like, yes, because honestly, like it's not that bad of a pick. I'm like, just do it. But he was telling me we were going on about like different ADPs and stuff. I'm like, what do you think about Jack Bash? It's like, Jack Bash, like, what do you think? He's like, I love Jack Bash. And I was like, oh my God, really? He said, yeah, he had a great Senior Bowl. So now I'm like, okay,
he's in on the Senior Bowl. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we did enough butting. Like he fell like 20 picks. I think now I'm like ready to accept Jack Bash in my life.
Yeah. Cause I took him with RotoPat. I think it was like 146 yesterday. Yeah. Like, once he's now in like the Romeo Dobbs, kind of range, as opposed to the you're passing on like Tootin and all the good quarterbacks and whatnot.
Yeah. He just did not, there was such a stark tier, such an obvious tier of where he was that it just like, he just like so clearly did not belong.
Yes. All right. We got the 1-5 here. We got Drap. We got X-Spin. We got DMO Zone. We got Imwald. We got Hawkberg, Sir Bagchaser, Goods. I mean, this is a heavy hitter room right here. All
right. Well, I'm thinking, it's probably going to be pretty pissy. We'll see. We'll see what it comes to us, but I'd be surprised if we're not looking at, would we get, we'd probably have Saquon or Bijan here. I would guess. I would think we go three wide receivers before it gets to us.
Yeah, we shall see. I mean, I kind of, I think I mentioned on Best Ball Breakfast, I feel like 2 through 6 now, it's just like you can see any order and it's just like not surprising.
Yeah, I kind of like having pick 5. Like, I think that's a very fun way to, just kind of let everybody else kind of dictate what you end up doing. Yep, there goes Lamb.
Yeah, Lamb, like you said, Chase, Jefferson, Lamb there. We'll see what Fat Bobby does, and then we can get one of Barkley or Bijan. Not a bad spot to be.
Yeah, that'd be my preference.
All right, I need to figure out what's going on with Best Ball Viper. Says you ain't getting Saquon or Bijan. Guess what, Viper? Bijan.
Yes, you are. Okay, he capitulated. He changed his mind. You got to know your audience, man. You got to know the room you're in.
I don't know what is going on in my draft caddy here, and it is trying to hurt me with these pop-ups. Let's refresh here. Yeah, Bijan at 5. I've been I feel like I did a draft this morning where I got Gibbs at like 7 or 8 too. It's fun to get some of those values in round 1.
Ooh, I like the Emwald Nico at 7. That's That's a fun pick.
That's the thing we always talk about, right? These single entry contests, you quite literally only have one bullet. You can treat it as like, any other draft and try to get the values while other people are reaching, or you can go get your guys and say, I want to have this be my stamp on this draft.
Yeah, I'll make this a nice texture of draft for you here.
Okay. Always love a good texture.
gotta have your own unique stamp on it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say too, for the people and our audio listeners. So the structure for this one, all of these contests have had relatively similar structures, but always some small tweaks. Most of them, all 2 of 12 advanced like usual. This one's 1 of 10 in week 15. So definitely a little bit bigger, I believe, than like the Pit Bowl, because this does have 22,500 entries in it. 1 of 5 in week 16, and then like a moderately sized final, 75 seats. Nothing too big, nothing too small there. So to me, this is like pretty proportional. This could be one where if you wanted to like Galbrain a little more week 15, definitely week 15 over week 16 as far as the difficulty, but kind of business as usual, I'd say.
Yeah, the biggest wrinkle with this one is that it's all finals prizes. No prizes up until week 17.
Yep. We're back on the clock here. JT with Bijan. Don't know if I have many of those.
I like JT.
Kind of a cliff. Yeah.
I've been fading Bucky pretty hard, but I think I'm ready to change that tune a little bit, just because I feel like that could be disastrous if he ends up smashing and I'm wrong. But especially because I heard Karain say, he does his legendary upside piece as always, and Bucky was like ranking number 1 for him as far as like the
legendary,
the data points.
Yeah.
So that was so scary.
Yeah, he's Gretsch had some FUD on him. Yeah, I think I was talking about it a little bit on Best Ball Breakfast. I still like him after JT. Like, to me, once I'm getting to Higgins, Rice, I think you could say McBride, like structurally or whatever, could maybe flip him as far as importance. But it's like I'm scared of him, and yet the options going after him, I guess, are not that inspiring. I guess you could just say, like, hey, if you want a safe, stable running back asset, take Josh Jacobs there instead of Bucky. Like, I would buy that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I prefer Jacobs, honestly, just because I've seen him do it multiple times. Ooh, wow.
So, speak of the devil, like I wrote this up for Fantasy Life this week. I have no problem doing like a robust RB start here if you want to go Jacobs or Brown.
Let's do Chase Brown.
Yes. I was actually going to float that too. Just like when you do the 3 early running backs, not having overlapping bye weeks is really nice.
Yeah. And at that point, like, obviously you're splitting hairs projection wise, and we're not going to have a lot of RBs on this team. I'd rather not overlap buys. And I don't take a ton of Chase Brown either, but he's another one where like I fully acknowledge that, like, if I'm wrong, that's a painful L to be wrong on a Chase Brown fade.
It's funny. We got Demo Zone right next to us with the same high T 3 running back start. But yeah, I wrote up an article for Fantasy Life because I've been messing with these builds a little bit more, partly because I've just been taking best available at the top of the draft. So, if I put my finger on the scale, a lot of times it's like, let me, grab the wide receiver here and, get a more standard start for me. But when you're willing to take just best by ADP, you start to get pushed into these more robust RB type builds. And I was kind of surprised how well they turn out. And it does feel to me a little different in the landscape than it did in years past, where I think, yes, you still need to be getting a few in these mid ranges. We're going to have to obviously catch up, but there's pockets of the draft where I think it's more viable to catch up. And I'll post this link in the chat if you guys want to check it out. I wrote up 3 teams, different styles, one just like Nez and I are doing here, hyper fragile build, a robust RB 0 wide receiver build, and then a robust RB dead zone build, one I did with Karain on Best Ball Breakfast, where we took 4 straight from rounds 4 through 7. So some interesting builds to mess around with there.
Yeah, I like doing it a lot. I have no problem with it. Now, if we were to take like a 4th here, I'd probably like, Pete, like let's maybe think about something else here. Like, because obviously it's a bench piece at that point. But what do you think about, like, when you start like this? Do you think do you think it's like an absolute like no, like if to take like a elite QB if we happen to have say like Daniels fall back here, or maybe even like Jalen Hurts next round if he falls, like, or is that just like you don't have that luxury?
So I don't mind it. I think we were to
Mm-hmm.
get an extreme value. The other thing about an elite is it frees up another roster spot for a wide receiver, right? So
Sure.
if you go Jalen Hurts, like then we say like, hey, that typical 3 quarterback build, we're now doing 2, and we're going to probably get to 9 wide receivers or something.
Mm-hmm.
DK, JMO, Sutton, Hunter, do you have one of these guys you like?
I think I'd go DK or Sutton here just to get like a
Yeah,
true wide receiver 1.
I agree. And again, too, like I'm not opposed to like, say Hunter falls all the way back to us at 5.5. Like I'm not just going to be fully off of the more, high risk, high ceiling type players. And that's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
nice thing about the wide receiver position is you can kind of like feather these guys in. Like maybe you go DK Metcalf here and then you go Ricky Pearsall later, or say you go Travis Hunter here and then maybe you go Khalil Shakir or Jacoby Myers later. Like you can kind of accomplish that at different points.
Yeah, being cognizant of like the archetypes is definitely something that I try to do as well.
Yep. Let's see here. Yeah, so we start Bijan, JT, Chase Brown, come back, grab DK Metcalf. Definitely a wide receiver heavy start around like the turn there, getting Devontae Adams jumping these running backs, but it's kind of normalized a little bit. Our guy Yoshi here from the 12 hole grab James Cook at the 3-4 turn. The quarterbacks go and Omarion Hampton goes early. So we're kind of then settling back into a pretty typical range here. And now we can have the Jalen Hurts combo, or like the Zay or Calvin Ridley would obviously be.
Ooh,
So Hurts does go.
yeah, okay. Well, that takes that off the board. I think I'm Ridley here.
Yeah,
Get another
I'm
wide
good with
receiver
that.
1.
Yep. The other benefit we get, yeah, like you said, wide receiver 1, we get a late stacking out. Zay Lamar's already off the board there. So I think that's a good start.
Yeah, I'm happy with this. I think for me, and I'm curious what you think, like just because all of the prize money is in week 17, I think that could lead some people, if they're thinking about like playoff weeks, to prioritize, could maybe want to say, oh, like, let me build, for week 16, just because that's where all the money is in week 17. So let me just get access to the money. I think I would still prioritize week 17. And for me, that's just like, it's a $5 contest, like I'm not like, if I don't make the finals, it's no big deal. Like I still want to win the top prize. But
Yeah,
I'm sure you feel similarly.
for sure. Yeah. 75-person final. So 75th place gets $250, which is still a nice multiplier on your buy-in. But yeah, you want that top 10 for that 1K prize, turn, $5 into a 200X there. You're definitely still shooting for that kind of correlated high-end outcome there to get the top prizes.
Yeah, I know, I understand why they don't do more contests like this, but I would definitely be pro more finals money only contests, just to give more access to low buy-in for greater first place
Yeah.
multiplier. I
Yeah.
think that Raw will probably be like that again. I know we did that last year. We had like a 50K first place prize for our Badge Bros Brawl, which was like 6. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for whenever that comes out again.
And it's like you would never want the lobby to be exclusively one thing or another. There's definitely stuff
Mm-hmm.
within the ecosystem where you want people to have longevity, to be able to get min caches and stay in the game and get reps and not bleed and hemorrhage in top heavy contests. But with all of these side contests, like, yeah, let some of the people who want to play that way, attack it. Yeah, so I think we're still looking at wide receiver here. Godwin, Debo, Jacoby, Pearsall. What do you think?
I'm Godwin.
Yeah. Godwin, I think, makes a lot of sense. Obviously, a lower floor
Mm-hmm.
this year than typical, but I think that's baked into his price here at 6.8.
Yeah, I like it just because, like, I think we're going to have a pretty healthy volume of wide receivers on this team anyways, to kind of maybe mask him a little bit if he's off to a slow start. But all reports are that he's, I wish they were like, I will be honest, the hopeful for week 1, I'm like, can you just like say he's going to be ready? Like, that does kind of like give me a little bit of a twinge, but
Yeah.
everything else has been indicating that he's like ahead of schedule.
for sure. And a lot of times in this spot, you're getting Jerry Jeudy here because Godwin will typically go ahead of Jeudy this draft, giving us Godwin. And again, like this is, if you weren't here, Nez, I think I would have drafted the exact same team so far. Because we've taken basically what the room has given us. Maybe there was a chance I would have clicked Zay over Ridley. I might have, but otherwise, I like just taking what the room gives us here. And you can see, like, it seems like you're massively behind, but you rip off these wide receiver picks. And then again, it hits us squarely in a nice pocket here. Green Bay wide receiver or Shakir. Do you have a flavor you like here?
Let's take Shakir here.
Yeah.
It's the week 5 thing for me. Once again, it'd be the third week 5 bye. And I do think Shakir is like for sure cemented as wide receiver 1 in Buffalo. Not a ton of additions around him that I'm scared about. Maybe a Keon Coleman, a certain, rise in his game. But yeah, the Golden and Reed, I think there's still some ambiguity there. So we'll play it safe with Shakir, I think is what that was.
And again, like we were just talking about, like different, we've prioritized targets essentially here. Like who are the guys? And that's not to say Metcalf and these guys don't have upside. They obviously do. But like the type of swings we are taking are falling back on, I think, projectable target shares a little bit more. That doesn't mean we're not going to take some swings. It means like, say we did do like the Golden and, a Travis Hunter in here, then it's like we're coming back around and like, give me my Adam Thielen, give me those guys. Whereas now we're flipping it and we're like, give me Pat Bryant, give me Jalen Noel. Like, we're still going to be looking for upside. We are just, kicking that can down the road. And I think it's viable to go in either one of those directions. And it's fun to mix and match how you build out a wide receiver room that's behind.
Yeah, this is typically how I play it if I'm like, starting from behind, like you said, is like just looking at projectable volume for sure. It just feels like the best way to do it. Maybe it's good to mix in every now and then, like, some like just build the whole plane out of upside and maybe you hit, but that's definitely not going to be, GTO by any means.
Yep, Golden, Reed go right after us. Been funny to watch those ADP twins. I mean, to have teammates there is always interesting.
Yeah,
we get Demo here working with the exact same structure. Stop duping us, bro. You know what? I was really hoping Jaden Higgins would come back to us. Anything else you see that you like here?
Do you want Higgins?
Yeah,
let's take him.
This is like going back to it again. Like, so you start looking at like a 2v2. I guess there isn't like a safe, quote unquote, safe wide receiver option here. Generally like Cooper Kupp is there. So you're starting to look at a 2v2 of like Matthew Golden and Cooper Kupp versus Khalil Shakir and Jaden Higgins. And I like the Shakir Higgins side.
Yeah, definitely. Higgins, with the chance to be wide receiver 2 in that offense is definitely exciting. That's upside swing number 1, I think, very clearly.
And you know what? I will say, I've been trying. I think, I don't know exactly how it happened. I just wasn't getting a lot of Higgins, I would say, like in, I don't know, the first start of, best ball summer, May, early June. So I've tried to pull him up a little bit more. And I also have such a huge bag of Jalen Noel that I like, that I want to play it both ways. And even though I find it a little pricey, like this is the exact kind of team where you pull him up. And Leone's talked about it too, where it's like, he'll go against the ETR ranks when he has a room like this, knowing like, hey, I need some rookie upside here.
And we're in the middle of this QB pocket. Baker, obvious fall here. Yeah, I don't see anybody else that like I'd pound the table for. Like, I don't think I'd take another running back yet. I would say, yeah, I'd say Baker or Trey Harris, but I like Baker. It's a nice fall.
I agree. Yeah, I think because this is where, it's like, what I start thinking about with this build is like, I know we have basically one running back left in us and I want to make it count. So it's like, I don't want to blow the load here early and then we get a really sick running back value and we're like, fuck, man, we can't go five running backs. So it's like keeping that flexibility. So then when you get a quarterback that's stacked at a discount, it's just like, just take it here.
Especially like these running backs. The archetype of these running backs are like people that are like trying to get points that start, not take upside swings. Whereas like the running backs that I want on this team from this point on are like contingency bets. I want somebody that like if it's their time to hit, they have the chance to like outscore one of our 3 running backs. Like they're going to project better. You know, if we get like if we had Correndo on this team, like that would be the type of archetype that I would want. Where like if his situation is here and CMC's hurt, he is like he's out projecting one of our 3 running backs.
Yes.
And what's nice too is like if these guys are healthy too, we're probably flexing one of these guys too. So we're only using 3 wide receivers. You know, if things are, you know, humming like we hope.
For sure. Yeah, and like thinking about our other stacking options, obviously Stroud, and obviously Cam Ward and Rodgers. And I think also I'm completely open to Penix with Bijan and Colts quarterback with JT. So lots of options there.
I'm definitely leaning 3 QB with this, just if we can help it. But if it doesn't work that way, it is what it is.
So this will be an interesting spot for us here.
Let's check out wide receiver.
Wide receiver fairly wiped out. I don't mind the Christian Kirk nod. I was going to mention Ingram, but he goes. It doesn't feel like the spot to burn our running back pick.
No, I would say let's go QB wide. Yeah, so QB wise, no like stacks on the table. I think Q Kirk, and then let's look at tight end.
Yeah, tight end. We got the Jonnu Landmine, Warren, Njoku, Kraft, Loveland.
Let's do Warren. Can I talk you into that?
Yeah, hang on. Can we?
It's okay.
Let's do Kirk, and then.
You think we'll get him on the way back?
So my only thought was, we're still catching up at wide receiver. Kirk correlates with Higgins. He also gives us another solid floor as we like catch up at wide receiver. And then also this tier of tight end, I find generally kind of flat. I like Warren, but man, like Njoku, Kraft, Loveland, like I like these guys and figure at least one of them would be there. So that would be kind of my only thought.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't feel like uber strong projection wise of like Warren over Njoku and Kraft. Like I know Njoku, obviously like a projection darling, and Kraft, you know, was the guy in the playoffs. I just have, you know, upside dreams of Tyler Warren, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like he's a 20% guy for me.
And I actually feel like in a lot of scenarios, he comes back there, you know, a Hawkinson drafter took him.
Njoku?
Njoku, yeah. I think he looks great. He was another guy. I wrote him up in the Fantasy Life newsletter the other day. It was like after we did our show looking at the projection disparity, and I then was looking at we were looking at prop lines, and then I looked at our Fantasy Life projections, and the Browns offense, passing offense, just massively undervalued. This is our aggregated projections. So like, you know, Dwayne has a different process than Friedman and stuff. So you're getting some different things in there. He grades out as our tight end 6 by projections, and he has a tight end 11 by ADP.
Yeah, it's strictly just like the quarterback ambiguity.
Yep.
And he did it last year with gross quarterback play too. So yeah, he's just like such an easy click.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I do like Warren, and you know, paired with JT, I think that would have been fun. The other thing too is like, I guess I do like Kirk more than some of these other guys when I was looking, and you now see like Palmer get pulled up to 130. We're probably going to be sitting out wide receiver for a little bit. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's that, you know, it's that Burden line really, or maybe it's the Bateman line all over again. But yeah, that Burden, Bateman, Kirk tier is like, yeah, things get vastly different when you're looking at wide receiver after those guys go. It's officially ugly.
Yeah. So let's do a quick audio recap here for our audio listeners. Baker Mayfield at quarterback. We still got our high T 3 running back, hyper fragile start. Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown. been catching up at wide receiver, up to 6 here. DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, Khalil Shakur, Jaden Higgins, and Christian Kirk. David Njoku holding it down at tight end. Yeah, so we're in good shape there. Michael Penix goes at 137. I figured Stroud was going to go to Imwald, who took Nico in round 1.
Yeah, that was tough. So we do still have Ward available.
Yep.
It would be a reach, obviously, here.
I think we could go tight end 2 here. And sit on, because we do have some of those other later outs as well with Rodgers, Cam Ward, the Colts quarterbacks. So I'm not too worried yet.
Yeah. Are you Kincaid or Goddard here?
I'm good with either. You have a preference?
I'd say Goddard. Yeah, I prefer Goddard.
Yeah. Double week 9, but not anything that we can't. We're going to go 3 tight ends here anyway. So I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. And even if you did, I think obviously it's obviously like not ideal, but it's certainly not the end of the world to have the same bye weeks on the tight end. But
no,
if you can avoid it, it's preferred.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, like this is the nice thing about, catching up. We ended up getting to 5 wide receivers by round 8, and then we get into this spot of the draft where there just isn't a ton of solid wide receiver prices. So now 3 of our past 4 picks are quarterbacks and tight ends. So it's just like being patient there. But like you said, I guess the unique dynamic here is the quarterbacks are kind of relatively pushed up to their normal ADPs, and we need to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, like I don't hate the idea of reaching on a QB here, but I'm always like team get your QB.
Yeah,
maybe
me too, especially because I think a Rodgers or Colts quarterback is best suited as a QB3 as opposed to like going those as one of your QB2. So yeah, why don't we you want to lock up Cam Ward here?
Yeah, I don't think that there's much of a difference between Ward and those guys.
Nothing with these running backs that are screaming out to us. Nothing with wide receivers yet. Tight end, we just went 2 in a row. Like I think we're good.
Yeah, there's still some good handcuffs at running back that we can wait on.
And we also mentioned, like, one of the things I love about a Cam Ward team is that we now open up Chig. We got Lockett. We got the rookie wide receivers if we feel like we have enough veterans. So he's just such an awesome flexibility piece.
Yeah, he could really, I think, be one of the keys to the season. It feels sort of like CJ Stroudish to me, his rookie year, where like he was really cheap. There wasn't a lot of high expectations for him. And then obviously like the Nico breakout coupled with that. I just see a lot of similarities there where if he hits, like it's just every piece of this offense other than Ridley is just so cheap that it could be really massive.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just like the rising tide of a good quarterback just cannot be understated enough. And I guess you can look at, Denver's kind of an interesting use case last year, and almost even Jaden Daniels, in that the quarterbacks themselves were so dominant on the ground that, yes, the rising tide lifted a good chunk of boats, but it wasn't like everyone because it was one spread out and they were rushing so much. But I think with Cam Ward, because he's not going to run as much as those guys, it will be through the air more in a way you could see 2 to 3 pass catchers really smashing their ADP.
Right. Like even like a Tyler Lockett giving you some use in some form or fashion, giving you, weeks that are helping you. What, even if it's just like to help you advance and he fades as the rookies emerge. That was sort of his calling card, where he would start the season off, with like 4 straight touchdowns with the Seahawks. It does sort of seem like him and Ward are going to really pair nicely together.
So we do lose out on 2 of my favorite wide receiver targets in this range, although I don't think we would do a third Texans unstacked wide receiver there. So Imwald can have that. McMillan, though, with
Yeah.
Baker could be great. I'll just put him in the queue to start. Pitts, Jaden Blue would be other considerations.
I think I'm McMillan here just because he
Yeah.
is like that next highest wide receiver off the board. I don't think he would make it past. He would make it back to us. And obviously we got the Tampa Bay thing going. Still some running backs on the board that I'd be okay with.
Yep. I like that as well. Keeping that last running back slot open, getting another wide receiver. And we have good options for the third tight end. Obviously, Kate Otten, Chigakonkwo there. And again, like you start with 3 running backs and you just keep picking your spots here. And we've gotten like a nice blend, Higgins, rookie, Jalen McMillan, year 2, some contingent stuff, and then like four high floor vets that we just kind of feel proven commodities, kind of know what you're getting from them.
Mm-hmm. I think last year this would have been like unheard of to do a 3 running back start. I think now the overall zeitgeist, or whatever you want to call it, is more open to it. Okay, we lose Dowdle.
This is a good point too. Otten probably don't want to do.
Yeah.
Pitts with Bijan is kind of a crazy value. We could also, shit. Do you have anyone?
Let's do it. No, let's just do Pitts. Like, it's okay. Like, we have Ridley, so we don't necessarily have to correlate that last tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm taking Kyle Pitts, I would love it. Like, this is when I like to take Kyle Pitts. Third tight end, no pressure, buddy. Just like spike when you spike. And we're not necessarily counting on you for anything.
So we're up to a 2-3-7-3. And this is the thing too. I probably default to too many Chigakonkwo teams with Cam Ward. Like, he's just so comfy in the same way I defaulted famously to too many Dalton Schultz teams with CJ Stroud. So I do like the idea of like, hey, I don't want my entire quarterback portfolio also tethered to the same kind of dust ball tight end.
Yeah, and wow, Sir Bag Chaser pulling up JT Sanders there is man, I don't like seeing that, because Sanders, like I said, Sanders and Theo Johnson have been like my comfy cozy week 18 tight end clicks, and but when you pull Bryce Young up because that's your first QB, you end up taking JT Sanders to make sure you get a double stack, I guess.
Yep. Again, Bryce there neck and neck with Cam Ward is kind of like the best back stack. You still have Jalen Coker there. Rico Dowdle didn't fall here, but sometimes he's in the mix as part of the young stuff. It's really clean.
Yeah. I started off this summer, man, like holding strong on Chuba, but the more I hear, the more podcasts I consume, the less, like steadfast I am on that. Like, Chuba is still a dog take. I am definitely a little worried that overstating his usage with the, I think it'd be wrong to have my head in the sand on that, but
this could be the spot. I think we come back to a 4th running back. I would throw out Shipley paired with Goddard, and just, again, like, we quarter the market on these bell cows, and it's like, give us the backup of one of the other ones at the top of the board.
That's the exact. Hopefully Demo does.
God damn it, Demo! You're gonna start 3 and go 5. I did not think you had this in your bag.
Let's go running back or throw Rodgers in the queue. Samson Hunter's good. I like Hunter.
Okay, sorry, I was just trying to scramble there. I think you're right. Maybe if I had a little time, we just lock up that third quarterback.
I mean, I'm totally okay if we don't take Aaron Rodgers, but
yeah,
it just makes sense for a stack.
Same idea with Hunter. Not quite the contingent play, but more the just like, what if he is a revelation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone keeps pointing to the combine numbers, and not that like Kyron is a strong combine guy, but at least we got to see Blake Corum have an attempt to be the guy and like totally fail last year when he did have like a chance to. So to me, it just makes Hunter the clear and obvious like bet if you're trying to make the contingency bet at least. So are you thinking stopping at 4 here? I think that probably makes the most sense for us.
I think so. Yeah, I think a 3rd quarterback and an 8th wide receiver make more sense. Oh, one other bonus on the Hunter, right? We get that little week 17 opposite Pitts and Bijan.
Yes. Yeah. Good call.
Who do you prefer? So Dimes went Rodgers or A-Rich. What do you like here?
Is it crazy that I think I prefer A-Rich?
I don't think so.
I can't imagine, like, what does a Rodgers ceiling game look like? With this iteration of the Steelers,
Probably
like
looks like 19 and a half points.
I was literally just going to say 19 points. Like something below 20 points is like the best game you're getting out of Rodgers. And it's probably like 180-3 or something like that. Like it's just like the grossest game ever.
In Richardson too, like he's great to obviously either just run naked, or I do like it paired with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's a guy where it's like, I was thinking through this the other day, because I did this move with Richardson. Daniel Jones was off, and I don't think I did it, but I was like, I had two options, and one was him naked or tacking on AD Mitchell with him. And I was like, are we ever excited about pass catchers with Richardson? I know it helps him access the uber ceiling, the stacking, but the most realistic thing is he has 2 rushing touchdowns and has like 26, 27 points. It's like, I actually think I don't want him correlated. It's just like, let him soak up every point from this offense, and that's his contribution.
Yeah, I think that makes like total sense, right? Like if you tell yourself, like, okay, like when we draft Anthony Richardson here, we are telling ourselves that he is starting and he's playing games here. And like you said, like what's the most likely outcome for Anthony Richardson? And that's him, that he's not contributing to the wide receivers and he can still have good games without that. So like why stack him if it's the less likely outcome when you can just like try to like bank a touchdown somewhere else? Like I'm fully with you on that. Like if we had dimes, different story.
And Lute says that stack late is fine. Sure. Of course it's fine. I'm saying that relative to other stacks where it's like, okay, I have Stafford, like I'm just slamming Tutu Atwell because I'm like getting that extra guy, or I have my Bryce Young and I'm getting Jalen Coker, where I don't even think about it because I want the correlated benefits of a pocket passer. Anthony Richardson is on the opposite end of that spectrum, that it's also completely fine not to stack him in a way it isn't for those pocket passers.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you Io Minor, Lockett? You could also do a bring back on Tampa with our Nick Westbrook Akine pick. Any other wide receivers you like here?
I think the Io Minor ceiling shot, maybe that's like a hilarious thing to say, but I'm team Io Minor here.
I think it is too, because it goes back to the types of players we started this draft with, 4 veterans, Christian Kirk. It was really Higgins ended up being our only kind of rookie upside crack. So I think getting a correlated rookie bet here at the end makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I've been doing a ton of Cam Ward back stacking on my teams, and this is like a really nice opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I love getting an Io Minor Ridley as opposed to my classic Ridley Chig. Yeah, this draft came together pretty clean. I think we both would have liked Shipley with Goddard. I think we both would have enjoyed, say, like maybe Daniel Jones slightly more than Richardson. But other than those slight tweaks, I feel like this worked out well. You also, I know the other 2v2 could have been like the Tyler Warren off of the Christian Kirk pick.
Yeah, looking at how the team turned out, though, I'd probably prefer Christian Kirk there with that veteran chaperone appearance. With some of the other like the upside shots that we took were definitely big time variance bets. With Richardson and even like McMillan, who I think probably needs a lot of things to go right to really be available. Oh shit.
Nez's dad, who was on the randomizer the other week and gave his number 1 sleeper as Calvin Austin, and Nez just ignored it there at the draft.
I told you to take Calvin Austin. He's a sleeper. He's pointing at me. He's telling me right there. That was and it would have stacked with DK.
Look, your dad's in the chat, and then my dad's in the chat as well. David Kitchen says nice Titan stack there. Hi, Dad.
Thanks, Soccer Dave.
I'll give you the 2v2. And obviously you can slice and dice this different ways, but it would have been like, let's say Tyler Warren with Wan'Dale Robinson or Demario Douglas, pick whichever kind of flavor you want there. Or what we did, Christian Kirk with Kyle Pitts.
I do think I would probably take the Warren side of that with Demario Douglas, just because I am like rapidly warming up to Demario Douglas being my generation's Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
DeMarvin
I get
Douglas.
like crazy bullish on May, that is.
And I do think it's a pretty fair 2v2 in that, like, the Kirk archetype, these are like the cheaper versions of the Kirk archetype. Kyle Pitts isn't a rookie tight end, but he is that kind of like boom bust guy in the same way. Tyler Warren has a pretty wide range of outcomes. So yeah, I think that's an interesting 2v2 to think through there. And maybe, then we do go Anthony Richardson as is, and then that further kind of solidifies that as the Colts team bet. Yeah. Let's do let's see. Destroy It All says, do you guys think the winners have already been picked in May for best ball? So this is an age-old question, basically saying, were the values so great early on? And let's also mention, I'm guessing maybe Destroy It All is a little new. The contest we're playing in, the Corgi, how long has this been out, Nez? Like a week and a half?
Yeah, like I think last Monday it came out, maybe 2 Mondays ago it came out.
Yeah, so obviously we call these time box contests, so it's only been out. So other than some of this recent news with the Steelers, like everyone's kind of working with the same ADPs. There's going to be no like huge value someone got a week ago that doesn't exist now. If anything, it's going to be a bunch of teams with bad values because most of the players lost value. But your question generally pertains to like Best Ball Mania, some of these other contests that have been open since May. There's pros and cons to it. My take, my bro science take on this is there were so few values to be gained early on in the draft window this season because the field had gotten sharp and everyone was on top of all of the, post-draft risers, that I think the information edge is going to end up being even greater in August than it has in previous years, and that it will have the early ADP value CLV bros are going to have an even tougher time competing with that. So my take is the winning BBM team still hasn't been drafted right now, and the odds would also be in my favor on that, but I don't know if you have any ideas or takes on that, Nez.
No, I mean, if I was to handicap it, right, like we're at 30% full. So let's just like break it up into like 3% chunks and like forget like the last 10%. I would probably consider the first 30% like the least likely to have the winner, just because like there wasn't anything to like really gain ADP wise. Like maybe you have some sick J.K. Dobbins teams, in which case I am jealous. Yeah. But like, that's really it. So yeah. And I'm hoping that the team hasn't been drafted yet, because I only have 10 BBMs done. So I am like big time, like hold before I blast off.
And this is what I mean by like the math being on my side. The contest is only 1/3 of the way full. So there would have to be a pretty overwhelming edge to drafting early for this to even overcome the math of 70% of the contest is still to be drafted. I would drain multiple bank accounts to get it in good on saying the winning team hasn't been drafted yet.
Yeah, I agree.
That said, tune in every Monday to watch me draft 4 Best Ball Mania teams.
You're doing God's work, Pete. Like I said, I speak as a former fellow, desk jockey. That show is like that is how you get the week started.
It is a good way to start the week. Let's give it, for the audio listeners, the final recap. Nez and I did a hyper fragile build here, 3-4-8-3. We see your 3-5-7 threes and say, hey, let's push it a little bit here. Baker, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson, 4 running backs, Bijan, JT, Chase Brown, Jarquez Hunter, 8 wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, Khalil Shakur, Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Jalen McMillan, and Alec Iomanor. 3 tight ends, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert, and Kyle Pitts. Baker Mayfield, double stack here. A Cam Ward double stack, Anthony Richardson with JT, some week 17 stuff, a little, did we have a Buffalo? Yeah, Khalil Shakur opposite Dallas Goedert, week 17. What do you think about this squad?
I mean, I love it, right? It's everything looks good whenever everybody's fully healthy, but if the running backs stay fully healthy, I think like we are like for sure advancing this team. If we get that Chase Brown legendary season paired with like what we're going to get from Bijan and a healthy JT this year, this team is like absolutely cooking. To me, this is a really clean team. Like we're not asking a whole lot here. Just like stay healthy, and this team's gonna blast off.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Fun battling with the regs and the sharps in this room. Always get a slightly different, flavor than you're normally going to get. A little less likely to get extreme ADP values. More likely to get your stacks as people kind of stay in their lane. Less likely to get sniped, except when Demo Zone decides to take his 5th running back on a hyper fragile build. But it's all good.
Commit to the bit, dude.
Good stuff there. The Corgi, get in there. I will say, to your question in the chat, Destroy It All earlier, the winner has now been drafted in this contest.
In the Corgi, it's done. It's done. Let it overlay all the way to August. It's over.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go. Nez, someone in the chat earlier was asking about MLB today. You're rolling something right after this, right?
I am. Yep, we are going to have MLB at 2:00 today, and it's going to be messy. There's a lot of weather, so we've got a lot to talk about and how to approach that today. So that'll be members only. So if you're not a Badge Bros YouTube member, it's $5 a month. You get access to that show. We do a series that drops every Saturday where we draft a BBM team using the solver, and you get Friday night streams with us as well. It's $5 a month. Check that out after this.
Yeah, it is a incredible value for all the member only content. So become a Badge Bros YouTube member. I'll be back tomorrow for Best Ball Bash and Randomizer. So speaking of YouTube members, if you want a chance to get on the bash, become a YouTube member on my channel and then drop the hashtag in the chat at 1 p.m. when I go live. You use the hashtag join the bash and I will spin a wheel. Winner will get the link and we will draft a team, then making friends, meet new faces around the Deposit Kingdom. And then FF Hitman, aka Mike Wright from the Fantasy Footballers, is my guest. And I'm super excited for it for a couple of reasons, but most of which is he was on season 1 of the Randomizer, which took place over 5 years ago. I think it was June of 2020. We were right in the thick of COVID. Underdog hadn't even launched yet. We did the draft on Drafters, was how old it was.
Whoa.
Yeah, we drafted Devin Asiasi, who was a rookie tight end for the Patriots. Cam Newton was the quarterback for the Patriots at the time, I believe. That's how deep we're going back here. And I had eventually completed a trilogy with the Fantasy Footballers. All of those guys came on to do a draft, and now we're going back old school with Mike. So that's gonna be a fun show tomorrow.
Can't wait. That's so awesome that he's coming back on. And I just want to say, man, the bash is like one of like the best ideas that you've had in a long time. The bash has been so successful, in my opinion. Just a great,
Thanks, man.
A great watch every time.
I appreciate it. It's been awesome. I would say it's going even better than I could have dreamed of. I think the thing I joke about having like more wild cards and stuff on the show, but I was honestly worried most about the technical difficulties of just like people not used to streaming, like being in like loud noises. Like the one thing that ruins a stream is just, having all kinds of chaotic loud noises or bad camera or whatever. So people have been like, and maybe it's just a testament to technology these days that things are like pretty easy, but like having everybody have like pretty clean audio in video has been very nice.
It'd be like a nice like case study for StreamYard. Like look how easy it is to hop in here and draft with me, right?
I mean, I just wish the ADP chasing guys would take some notes. I mean, you want to talk about tech disasters. I'm like, is this your guys' first time streaming? Pat's like, I can hear some of you, but not all of you. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over here, guys?
I liked when you had to make that guest appearance for a couple minutes though. Like I think it's episode 1. It was great.
All right, before we go, let's give Brandon a little tutorial here. When you are on the main page, there is a join button here, and I can do a little screen share, and maybe Nez can drop in the chat a thing. Mine is not going to show the join because I am already a member here, but right where it says view member for me here, if you click this, there'll be a join button there. Trying to think, is there somebody who I'm not a member of that's in my thing where I could show it to, but I'm members of most of my friends in here. I
did share in the private chat a link. It's a direct link to join up, but
there you
do have to be on desktop. I'm not sure that works. I'm pretty sure you can't join YouTube memberships on mobile yet. but that should take you directly to like where you can become a member if you're on desktop.
Yes, and I've heard that too. A little tricky on mobile there, but yeah, once you do that, and I'm pretty sure too, if you click on any of the links to a members only video, there will also be like, hey, this is gated, but if you want to join to get access to this content, you can do so here.
Yeah.
There you go. Go take advantage of that. Ned, you're doing that right now, right?
Yep, that'll be like 10 minutes after the show. I'm going to take a bathroom break, make sure Mello's good, and yeah, start that thing up.
Beautiful. Next time we'll get John back in the saddle. Hopefully he hasn't, blown off any of his fingers with fireworks, JPP style. And we'll see you guys next time.